Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. Plus we're playing Maggie today. We're going to do the same thing we did last time. Not because I hate variety, but because I feel like... Here's your seed, by the way. Come on! I'm trying to be the Google DeepMind language filter here. It's machine learning at a pace that is not quite the same as a human being, but closing in on it in increasingly nefarious ways. And you give me something like that. With the image processing analysis algorithm can see for itself and be like, hey, you can't put peen on screen. Anyway, last run was like, it was poisonous. It was toxic. It was terrible. We still almost made it work. So today, I will admit there's a certain aspect of like, you know, it can't be worse. That's what's factoring into my mindset now. This idea that as bad as our last run was, we still did very well, considering the circumstances. So what do we do here? Well, I mean, if we play at the same level of magnitude... This sucks, dude. Waste. What a waste. If we play at the same level, we should expect a win. That being said, we should also expect to be trapped on this boss fight for a long time. This is one of those fights, again, I don't want to start out the episode in a negative tone. I felt the anger rising in my blood, and I just literally now neutralized it. I said to myself, so what, you know, you're going to be on this fight for 5 or 6 minutes maybe, just dodging over and over and over. Who cares, you know, you're going to be 5 or 6 minutes on this earth anyway. Might as well enjoy it and talk about the passion here as we get going here, but... this still, despite having neutralized that anger as it rose up in the back of my throat, I do need to say, this guy needs nerfed HP. It's just like, it's the kind of thing that can end your run. If we were playing as any character that didn't have, you know, this much HP, we'd be way more anxious right now, that's for sure. I mean, we might even be anxious even if we hadn't gotten the cancer item. Which, obviously, at this point seems ridiculous. Okay, we made it through. That actually wasn't that bad. Can I say, I have another cinema-related... I'm a cinephile, as you know. I have another cinema-related thing to bring up. I talked a lot about Ready Player One in the last episode and how... oh, thank you so much. Despite being untrollable, when I gave Ready Player One a 5 out of 10, people were like, you'd probably like it more if you understood the references. Which now that when I say it like that, definitely makes it seem like I got trolled. Joke's on you. I will never log off. What was I going to say following this? I was going to say, last night was folding a bunch of laundry. It's another post-con tradition. Come home with a suitcase full of dirty clothes. I want those clothes to be clean. Now, I shouldn't do this yet, but I'm going to do it. We're safe, but that was dumb. Either way. Folding the laundry, turn on the TV, see what's on. Oh, no big deal. Just Elias Pettersson scoring, you know, 35 goals every single game as usual. But then, like, not making this about hockey. I saw The Mummy was on, and I was like, oh, The Mummy. Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz. That one dude, the British guy, he was in, like, a lot of movies from that period, but I haven't seen him in, like, 10 years. Anyway. So that'll be a nice thing to watch for 20 minutes while I fold 3 or 4 loads of laundry. And I turn it on and I go, what's this? It's Sir Thomas Cruise. And then a young lady who I'm not aware. And then Russell Crowe, and his hand is made out of... Don't speak to me about this. I walked into the fire. It was a very bad tactical decision. But that's just how mad The Mummy 2017 makes me, okay? I am a noted... Tom Cruise apologist, which is something that I shouldn't even say, because I understand he has ties to organizations that are, well, the subject of multiple documentaries. And not in a cool way like Mr. Rogers, you know? Hey. Thank you. But, I mean, specifically from an acting sense, you know? I love the recent Mission Impossible films. He's amazing in Tropic Thunder. I like his 90s oeuvre. We are so lucky that we got it. And we cannot take Goat Head. Or we could take Goat Head and then try to make... you know what? Actually, I am going to take Goat Head. This is going to sound backwards after what I just said. And I will take this. Terrible rate of fire change. And the luck is bad too. But everything else is relatively okay. I'm going to play self-sacrifice rooms, I think. Assuming we get them. If we don't, we'll try to make the void happen on this run. Even though it's way premature to say that that's plausible. That movie is bad, dude. I want to take directors aside. And I have no responsibility to do this. I have no authority to do this. But, like, if you're ever a director and you're like, hey, I want my villain to have, like, a really funny voice, I think that would be, like, really cool. Just stop, okay? And this goes for even the contemporary greats. Christopher Nolan, I'm sorry to tell you, you know, whether The Dark Knight Rises is good or bad, and I think reasonable people can disagree, Bane's voice made it worse. And if you don't agree with that, all I have to say, a gird of your own, is that after the trailer came out, prevailing sentiment was like, I don't know what Bane's saying. So they went in and they toned down his voice. I understand for lore purposes, or whatever. Or maybe Tom Hardy, again, just loves doing silly voices in superhero movies. I can't dispute that. Simultaneously, though, I think that movie was made a little bit worse because I kept getting taken out of it by being like, I'm sorry, I don't know what the heck you're saying on the regular. I need the meme text under the image in order to understand it. Same thing happens in The Mummy, you know? There's a relatively supposed to be menacing, sort of like eldritch being, and she's a young lady. I don't know if she's eldritch, I guess, but she's got supernatural powers, right? But when she talks, they give her like the weird robotic sort of like machine noise under her voice that just, it doesn't necessarily make her harder to understand, but you know, just in your head you're like, what is there, like a sprocket or something rattling around in there? I just don't understand like what is making that noise, and it just makes you sound silly. I'm trying to think of a movie where like the villain's voice was used to good effect. I mean, I guess it's probably at its best when you don't notice it. Noted Marvel apologist as well, but, you know, Thanos definitely has some electrical inference going on with his voice, but I wouldn't say it worked, but it did not work either. Dude, I am getting bodied here, and it's embarrassing. Skeleton Key is fine, and I don't know if we've had it yet, so it makes it even better. Sack of Sacks, hit the sack, been too long, I'm glad to be back. Anyway, I'm just saying, can we have like a little moratorium on funny voice villains? Like Lex Luthor in Batman vs. Superman, kind of another one where you're just like, dude, what are you doing? I don't know, again, if that's Jesse Eisenberg or Zack Snyder, but either way. Heath Ledger as the Joker, I'll give you, okay? Kind of a funny voice, definitely does work. Doesn't really matter too much if we get hit because we get to deal with the devil anyway. So we will take the Halo. This is a good deal with the devil for us, no joke. Because I actually do not want to spend our HP. I want to spend it on a self-sacrifice room. Which is why I'm going to come back this way. Ooh, don't give me 9 lives. It's like the one time I don't want it. Anyway. Dude, I'm so excited, by the way. That's definitely going to be 9 lives. I think we don't take it if we're going to try the self-sacrifice room route. Now, it might be a little overly ambitious, but we'll see. We'll see as time goes on here. My grocery store previously has been the bastion of holding out against automation. It had no self-checkouts, despite it being the year 2018. Sorry, I had to think about it for a second. I also... I think there's another reason that it didn't have self-checkouts. I only found out recently that When you think about it, it makes perfect sense. But at least from reading about it on various subreddits that have now been shut down, apparently one of the most common shoplifting techniques was that people would, and it is shoplifting. I'm sorry to tell you if you do this. I just want you to know it's stealing. I'm not gonna narc on you because I have plausible deniability right now. I don't want to know whether you're innocent or guilty, okay? But you would go to the self-checkout and then you would be like, I got these almonds, you know, they're very expensive. I don't know, maybe like $4 per 100 gram or something like that. So you go and you put the almonds on the scale, and then when it asks you what product it is, you lie to the self-checkout and tell it that it's unorganic bananas. So it goes, okay, well, you got a pound of bananas here. That's like, I don't know, $1.80 or something like that. And then you've saved yourself like $15 with one simple trick, stealing. So I understand that makes sense. I'm sure that there have been studies done on like what the breakage or the, you know, what the losses would be from implementing self-checkouts. Our pharmacy has a self-checkout. You know, you can't get prescriptions at the self-checkout. Obviously, that would be insane. I can't do the reroll. I mean, I guess I'm not trying to fight the Zane. We have very specific ending conditions that I would like to take care of here. So I'm not going to use the D6, I think. The D6 room, I should say. You can't get prescriptions from the self-checkout, but, you know, if you're going to the drugstore and you're like, I need, like, cough drops and medicine, you know, some of those are, like, you know, if you buy a few different kinds of, like, cold medicine, your bill at the drugstore could be $25 to $40. I think it's realistic to say. You know, they got a captive audience. It's not necessarily cheap. So you could just go up and... I mean, I guess you can't because you have to scan a barcode. You can't just go up and scan something and they're like, this is neocitrin. And you're like, no, it's not. It's bananas. So it's a little different. At that point, you would have to not lie to the machine, but rather just stuff it in your coat and walk out. And while in practice, they're probably the same... or in principle, they're probably the same, I should say. In practice, you're not going to find, you know, I think you could find relatively normal people who are like, stealing is bad, but then, you know, they're like, I don't want to pay 16 bucks for almonds. I'm going to tell you that they're bananas. But when it comes to actually shoving something like that in their coat and then just walking out, that's when people would probably say no to it. But anyway, finally, our grocery store has gotten self-checkouts, and it owns. It kind of doesn't own... And I know I literally just contradicted what I've said, but I usually go grocery shopping late at night. So, you know, there's like 12 aisles at this grocery store. But late at night, 10 of them have no cashiers. So you have to wait in 2 lines. And they're replacing like 4 of the lanes with self-checkout lanes. And each lane that is replaced has 3 of them. So there's a lot more throughput potentially. And they work at night, so it's even better. But you realize it's not... the cashiers that are slow. They're professional human beings. They've become specialized more or less doing a task. Now everybody has counterexamples to that, myself included, but for the most part, the bottleneck from a human standpoint at any checkout line, I think, is the human being. You know, oh, sorry, how much was that can of tomatoes again? I thought it said 79 cents in the aisle, but now it's, you know, 81 cents here, and yes, I can afford it. I drove a BMW here, but that's beside the point. You're trying to rip me off. We are going to take that just because Little Brim is so good, but I do still want to save my HP, if possible. It's a foreign feeling to be ahead of Boss Rush by a little bit. And I noticed that at the self-checkout. There were a lot of times, and I'm not, you know, I'm very careful to avoid... the A word. I'm very careful to not come across as ageist. I am ageist in some regards, specifically with respect to driving in particular, and occasionally in respect to being trapped behind elderly people at places where I could be in and out of the store in 5 minutes, but they just want to talk. And it's sad, you know, because they're lonely. But simultaneously is like, I want to get home and see my family too. I'd like to not be at the grocery store if possible. Anyway, I'm being needlessly negative, but you know, I was waiting for one of the self-checkouts to open up yesterday. I had the horrible realization that we don't even need, like, a self-scanner is a start, admittedly. What we actually need is just a machine that you dump all of your stuff into, and then the machine scans it and bags it for you. Because the pace at which people scanned, bagged, paid, took their stuff from the bags and then put it in their cart and then looked at the receipt, and then it was just staggering that I was like, it's actually taking longer to check out via the self-checkout than it is for you to have had another human being just like be like, let me do it. So on the one hand, I'm happy because it is going to save me some time most of the time. On the other hand, I'm slowly realizing that the human race is like absolutely doomed. It's a bit of an egregious sort of like thing to take away from that situation. But I was watching, you know, people scan stuff. Please don't hit me again. Thank you. And I was like, I'm not, you know, I have an aggregate video of my life in my 20s. Every mistake I've ever made, basically. I'm not saying I have one video. That'd be weird. I mean, like, I've streamed myself making thousands of mistakes without a doubt. So I know how it is, you know, Po Buddy's nerfed. But simultaneously, I was like, if this represents humanity, we are doomed. Because it's like, you know, the machine goes, do you have any coupons? And I'm just watching people that are like, wait a minute. Do I have any coupons? I don't think I have any coupons, but the machine asked for coupons? Maybe I should have coupons? I wasn't told that there would be an opportunity for me to have coupons here, and it's just like, just hit the button that says skip. It's very scary to me. It does happen to me sometimes as well, I'll admit. But originally, I felt very superior. First time I used the self-checkout was probably like 2012, 2013. And I was like, this machine is dumb and I am smarter than it. You know, you buy a pack of cough drops. Secret room? Oh. You put it in the, you scan it, and then it goes, put item in bagging area. And then you go, haha, you stupid machine, I already did. And then the red light comes on, and, you know, an attendant comes over and goes, yep, the cough drops are in there. Stupid machines, huh? Nowadays, really don't see that happen too often. And that's what scares me, is the machines have progressed faster than us. I don't want this to seem so mean-spirited. Like, it's not like I go up and I just, you know, my eyes turn to the Matrix crawl. Thank you. I don't want to be... No, never mind. I'm like, I don't even see the scans anymore. All I see is, you know, bananas, apples. It's not really like that. No self-sacrifice rooms, dude. Please. I don't know where I'm going with this. I think as time goes on, I'm just getting, like, not more cynical about human beings, but I think I'm, like, it's becoming clear. Let me put it this way. When I was like 8, computers were so very, very dumb. They were brute force mechanical operators. As like, you know, if you took the smartest person in the world and you went like, hey, what's, you know, 345 million times, you know, e to the power of negative 27. You know, they would be like, I mean, I don't even have a way to conceptualize that, because now in my head I'm like, isn't e to the power of 10 to the negative 27 just going to end up being 1 or something? But I guess not. No. Anyway, so again, I'm the smartest person in the world, and I just proved that it doesn't make any sense. And a computer could do it in a heartbeat, but if you ever had to do like, you know, hey, how should I fly an airplane? You know, you'd rather have the pilot than have the computer. I don't know if that was true as of like, you know, 1995, but you get what I mean. Nowadays, though, I'm freaking out. And I think I'm freaking out partly because I know how some of these things are built. And I'm watching people go through self-checkouts. And I'm like, this is built for us. Our brains built this to be like, we've got a machine that accomplishes a specific task in the best and most helpful way possible. And we're still, there'll be like a screen with a big green button on it that's like pay. And then we'll just be like, I don't know how to pay. And then someone comes over and goes, hey, I've done the 6-week course. It's the green button that says pay. And we go, oh, they should really make that bigger. You know, and I do it too all the time. You notice it especially on stream because there'll be, you know, I'll be like, I don't see the option to do this, and then someone will be like, it's in, you know, I don't see where I can turn on VSync, and then someone in chat will be like, oh, it's the thing that says VSync, and you, oh, sorry, I didn't see it, you know? I'm increasingly realizing in the face of our future technological overlords that, like, the human brain is made out of meat, and it's one of the best meats out there. It's an unbelievably complex meat that stores feelings and, you know, our memories and emotions, and, you know, it's absurd. So you'll smell something you haven't smelled in like 12 years and it'll take you back to like a first date that you had in high school, and you'll instantly be in like the same emotional snapshot of where you were at that time, but then you can look at it, you know, with the added wisdom of old age. However, simultaneously, big button says pay now. We go, where's the pay now button? It's scary, dude. I think it's scary, at least. That's as much as and dude, I don't even, where am I going in this episode is the real question. We're not gonna do boss rush, I'll tell you that much. But I wanna go to bat for Elon one more time, while also admonishing him to a great degree. Okay? The thing I want to admonish him for is, Elon, what are you doing on Twitter, my dude? I promise this ties together, by the way. It's not, I'm not having my own meat breakdown here. We were talking about it at TwitchCon, you know? I will take lost poster, missing poster for now. I just don't understand what it is about, like, being idolized by the internet that has a tendency to turn some people a little wacky. You know, the more praise I get from the internet, I like to think the more suspicious I become of it, if that makes sense. I'm still 100% of the point. And I mean, mind you, Elon Musk is somebody who has actually accomplished some pretty noble things throughout his life, even if he is kind of a weirdo on Twitter. Okay? Pioneering electric vehicles, private space travel, even PayPal, as much as it's definitely just profit generating, it makes payments way more convenient online. Revolution, it led to the rise of eBay. Anyway, I don't even have to go down this road. You're all familiar, I'm sure. But when I get more praise on the internet, people go like, hey, you know, NL, you really, like, inspired me. I'm like, nah, that's okay. I decline your inspiration. It's very flattering. It's not like I'm saying I don't want to inspire you. You know, you're not worth my inspiration. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is more like, you can do better. Like, you can find a better influence to me. But I don't know, there's just some people, maybe you just get enough tweets on a regular basis that are like, hey, Elon, you're really like Iron Man. Hope you save the human race. And all of a sudden, like a week later, you're like, tweet me your dankest memes. Just why? I don't understand. Where was I going with this again? Oh, I was going to go to bat for Elon. That's right. It kind of lost in the sauce there. But I will say, and this is kind of why I think Elon's stupid, and I don't want to necessarily go that hard on him because we went to the same alma mater, but Elon, you have like these thoughts about the singularity in the future of AI and like the fact that it could be very dangerous. If you want those thoughts to be taken seriously, I'm sorry to tell you, you have to stop tweeting dumb nonsense like tweet me your dankest memes. You do. It's a sacrifice you have to make for the good of humanity. And only the strongest amongst us could ever bear that, okay? But I believe that you have a good mind for stuff like this. But in order for even me to listen to you without rolling my eyes, you can't tweet me your dankest memes. You have to choose. You can either be the guy who tweets things like tweet me your dankest memes, or maybe I'll make Tesla go public at $420 per share, or you can be the guy that people are like, hey, you know, a new supercomputer's been invented that has a power 1/8 of the human mind. What does that mean for our future, you know? Well, get Elon on the phone. You can't be both of the guys. I'm sorry to tell you. I genuinely am. And well, no, I'm not. I'm happy it's like that, because, like, I mean, I think you should have to choose, to be honest. But, like, you know, if you want the responsibility of being Tony Stark, you gotta recognize that if Tony Stark existed in real life, despite being Iron Man, he would be very insufferable in the public eye. You know, you would be like, hey, Iron Man, shut up, go back and saving the world. Nobody cares about your little quips, okay? We got our own problems. I'll watch Tom Segura if I want to laugh. If I want the world saved, I'm calling Iron Man. Anyway. So I'm just saying, like, as a robot, like, pins me to the ground and starts stealing my carbon in order to make, like, semiconductors or something like that when the Matrix becomes real, you just gotta laugh, right? Because in my head, I'm gonna be like, oh, if only we'd listen to Elon, but simultaneously, if only Elon hadn't tweeted so much stuff that made him unlistenable, you know, maybe we would have thought, but probably not anyway. So I have no idea what our HP looks like right now. I think that, okay, thankfully we're done, but it's about as comfortable as I'm willing to go there. I think we should take Baby Bender, do this, and then I'm going to take both. The reason I'm going to take both is, no, I'm not going to take both. Never mind. We probably have more than 3 HP. So I'm going to take the nail, and I feel like I need to take the nail. So that I can have the HP to possibly do self-sacrifice rooms, which is still a possibility. Anyway, this is a bit of a high-minded but also poorly thought-out rant to have based on self-checkout. But I'm becoming increasingly annoyed with how bad the human brain is. But also simultaneously, I'm a little worried about, like, you know, what it means to here's the thing. Let me put it this way, because this is sort of how I feel about it. And again, this will come across as highly ageist, but I think it's relevant here. Right now, when we go into like a senior's home or something, I don't mean like the home of a senior. It's really good to hear your voice, one of those things that sounds so sweet. Sitting in the home of a senior, hearing those words, it makes me weep. Anyway, that's Hinder. What I was gonna say is you're in like a retirement home. There's an element of melancholy when you're there, right? And I don't know what that stems from. Some of it is definitely like you guys are here because, like, you know, you don't have family that can take care of you for the things that you need, or, you know, maybe you've even been abandoned by some of your family. But there is also an element of like you were once noble, and still can be, human beings, but now, like, it must be. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, right? That's not meant to be rude. I'm thinking of myself in a senior's home, and like If I suffer from one sin, it's definitely gluttony. If I suffer from a second sin, is probably pride. The idea that I could be like, I have a very good brain and people like what I say, and then like when I'm 80, I'm like, excuse me, nurse, I took a poop, can you wipe my bottom? Like, that's a very scary thought for me, for real. And that's how I feel when I'm in these places, which, you know, I did work at a retirement home for a while, and I kind of felt like that. Now people were having fun, so that neutralized a lot of that for me as well, but there's still an element of that. Now imagine that the whole human race is like that, because there's just like, you know, one computer possesses the sum computing power of like a billion brains linked together. That's where I'm like, that's where the melancholy sets in. Now I'm definitely talking about stuff that I don't understand, and again, it's a pretty broad thing to pull from a single instance with a self-checkout scanner that I'm happy exists, by the way. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say, y'all. That's all I wanted to say. I'm just looking for a self-sacrifice room now. This run has gotten very good, largely, really thanks to the addition of homing, homing baby spoon, whatever it is. Because now Little Brim is basically like a bad brimstone that homes. And in this case, you know, it's bad within the context of being like, you know, one of the worst Harlem Globetrotters. Still doing finger rolls and making the Washington Generals look stupid. What would happen? I got an idea for you. You want to sell 75 tickets to an event that's going to cost you millions of dollars to put on? I got the perfect solution for you. Fire Festival 2.0. Harlem Globetrotters versus WWE wrestlers. First, the wrestlers play the Globetrotters in basketball. Then, the Globetrotters play the wrestlers in professional wrestling. What's the rubber match? The mixture of the two. Slam ball. Who wins? I don't know. If you meet the Globetrotters on the court, you're in trouble. Last week, they after round and got a triple-double. Yeah, we definitely want the sun. Excuse me. Let me go, please. I'm ready now. I think we could beat Mega Satan. We have to get there, which is the problem. But I think this run has the power to do it. 21 rate of fire is pretty bad, but part of that is because of triple shot, part of it is because of experimental treatment. Let's see if we have a self-sacrifice room. We can sort of plan from that point onwards. No self-sacrifice room. Alright. There could be a self-sacrifice room on Shoal, but we should probably plan to just beat the lamb, and if we get, like, Dad's Key, then life's good, you know? I thought we could enter that room. I guess the Boneheart counts here. Good, no boss fight. This run is just... It feels so much better than the last one. And I think the reason for that is because it is so much better than the last one, and the last one was terrible, and this one is, like, much, much better and substantially more fun to take part in. Simultaneously, I think I have played worse. And who would have thought, honestly, like, look to your past and be real with me. Who would have thought, upon taking Goathead, we would literally get no self-sacrifice rooms for the remainder of the game? At least up to this point. You know, I would expect to see a self-sacrifice room once every 2 or 3 floors. That's just anecdotal. I'm pulling a number out of my faulty meat brain. I'm just saying, okay? We may be in the generation that will see something that is not a human being be the smartest thing on Earth. And I know you might be like, well, we don't have any means to, you know, measure the intelligence of dolphins in this. No, like, stop. That's absurd. You ever see a dolphin use Twitter? Even if it could, all of his tweets would just be stupid. They'd be like, fish, you know? I'm talking, we might see, it's bad right now. We might see like a machine write a novel. Sometimes it happens on Twitter. People make things up. They're like, I got a joke, but the joke's not that good. But what if I say that I fed 45 years of Everybody Loves Raymond scripts into a machine learning algorithm, and then this is what it spit out? Then people will laugh. They're like, oh, the computer, it thinks it's people. Well, I think we'll still just leave. I'm like, that's not a computer, dude. That's just you. Well, I'm just stretching. But we may see, like, in our lifetimes, assuming that we don't, you know, flood the entire world before it happens, we might see, like, a good novel written by a computer. If that ever happens, it's gonna blow me away. And right now, it's kind of still inconceivable. But I don't think it's inconceivable long-term. I guess, like, again, I'm not much of a futurist for the most part. I just think it's interesting food for thought. I'm not one of the streamers who's, you know, gonna go live and talk about, you know, when we're gonna be dissolved into the consciousness of the universe one day in the bit stream. You know, I'm the guy who goes live and talks about, like, why in Java is there a local date and a local date time class? Why would I want a date but not want the time, George? Well, it saves you a bit In the garbage collector, Jerry. I don't care about a bit. I've got 32 gigabytes of internal memory, Kramer. You know? So I'm bad, is what I'm saying. That was the subtext there. I'm just bad. But like, if you could read a book that makes you cry and it was written by a robot, it's over. Like, you can imagine, you know, imagine if you were like an observer, like a universal impartial observer, like Silver Surfer style, back in, you know, 6 billion years ago, or whenever the first, like, cellular life on planet Earth came out. I don't know, existed? You know what I mean. You know, version 1.0. You're talking to your other, like, omnipotent friends, and you're like, man, I bet one day, they, like, suck really bad right now, but I bet, like, you see that cell right there? One day, its great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren are gonna, you know, enslave the other species of life on Earth, and then, you know, argue about the best ways to consume them in order to maximize the enjoyment of their energy production. And the guy's gonna be like, what are you talking about, just swimming around there like an idiot? And you're like, yeah, but just give it, I don't know, 6 or 7 billion years and see what happens. And you know what? That hypothetical creature, or, you know, Tesseract beyond our human comprehension, it was right. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just saying, self-checkout's all well and good, but just make the machine where I can feed the groceries in myself. Not for me. I'm capable of the scan and looking up the product codes, and I'm honest to a fault on those. If I got organic almonds, I'm hitting the organic almonds button, as I think most people would. Take me. No, don't take me. I'm gonna go see if maybe that last room self-sacrifice, as unlikely as it may or may not be. Infested. What do you got for me? I'm gonna reroll my whole run. Why? Did we spit out a trinket there? That's a little strange. I'm gonna reroll my whole run because at this point all we have to do is beat the lamb, and we were definitely capable of doing that. This run actually is like substantially better, by the way. So I think we're good. Unless this has, like, if it had a teleportation chance, I don't know, that wouldn't have even made sense. Yeah, I think we're just good to go. So we'll be looking for Dad's key. We should unlock something here. I hope it's the speed pill, but I'm pretty sure the speed pill comes from beating the Void, which is still, I mean, it's in the cards potentially, but if we're being honest with one another, relatively unlikely to happen here. Yeah, that's the kind of guy I am. I popped a speed down pill just to get it off of the screen so I didn't have to give it any mental RAM anymore. Unlike your average computer, I don't have 16 gigabits of internal memory anymore. Sorry, 16 gigabytes of internal memory anymore. Excuse me, sir. Yeah, lamb should be no problem whatsoever. I'm hoping with this luck stat, we're going to get some good stuff as well. But, see, special? Nope, not special bombs. Now, that dude made a huge mistake there. He locomoted his head into my bomb. And I know that seems like a, you know, a likely story, sir, but still. You ever wonder, so, like, there's, over the course of, you know, the past century, a lot of people have died under suspicious circumstances. I don't want to, you know, there's been, like, the polonium poisoning and the stuff like that. Or there'll be, like, you know, people will make jokes like, yeah, you know, one of the Prime Minister of blah blah's critics was found dead. Apparent suicide, he shot himself in the back of the head 14 times. You know, he fell down a flight of stairs on top of his own knife. Now, I'm not saying that that's, you know, obviously there's a lot of situations like that. Hey, I've seen Icarus, okay? There's a lot of situations where it was obviously a murder that's just poorly covered up, but nobody wants to say anything because they're scared that they'll be next, right? But you think that there's a chance that, like, maybe one of those was actually just the world's worst, like, most unfortunate accident. Like, some dude, he just wrote, like, a scathing critique of Kim Jong-un, and then, like, literally right after that, like, in a Rube Goldberg style, like, he slips on his floor, which was recently cleaned, and then, you know, his head falls backwards through the window, and then the windowsill comes down and, like, cuts his head off, and then it falls down into the pool, and, you know, gets stuck in, like, the pool filter. People are like, well, yeah. Let me guess, he slipped on a freshly cleaned floor, cut his own head off in the window, and then tried to dispose of his body in the swimming pool. Open and shut case. But, like, if there's an afterlife, that guy's looking down and going, but really, you're not gonna believe the story. He was probably just killed, though. It's a poison situation. Without a doubt. Anyway. I don't know where I'm going on this episode. You know, I'm just kind of farting around, trying to figure it out for myself. That was not very smart. Now I'm becoming increasingly concerned. Maybe I actually won't be able to kill the lamb. But now that I've recognized that, don't be an idiot and just do it instead. Like, you have 6 HP. Last time we were down here, we had 1 HP. I would say probably worse stats. Better rate of fire. And maybe at this point, better tier effects, but plus 9 lives. But anyway, with 9 lives, 1 HP. Non-controversial. I would rather have 6 HP and 1 life than 9 lives, 1 HP, most of the time. Late in the game, I mean. Early in the game, it's probably the opposite. No thank you. I hate, this is the first time I think I've clearly listened to the sound that these guys make when they fart on you, or when they suck it up. Yeah, that's, I don't want to know how that was Foleyed. Thank you. Please let me leave. I would like to go. I've done my time. I mean, for runs coming back from a little bit of a vacation, you hope they're going to be a little bit stronger than this. But the thing is, we got 2 really, really long runs to begin with here. You know, this is a 42-minute run. The last one was like almost the same length, I think. I'm not necessarily trying to complain about it too much, but I am also, like, I'm streaming today, and I'm in eager need of, you know, having some of this soup. Like, I went to the grocery store yesterday, I got, like, 3 different kinds of soups, and in my head I was like, you know, I can't wait to have those for lunch tomorrow, or one of those for lunch tomorrow. I'm not a 3 soup lunch sort of man. I don't know who is. That's just an awful lot of liquid. Well, we're going to easily win. This is not void-worthy. It's not even close to void-worthy. No victory laps. Send me to hell. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. Maggie's Faith is pretty good. If you enjoyed it, click the like button. That was a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Northernlion. Be notified when I go live in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!